Hi everyone, it's Booney. I'm back. Don't know how long I'll be, but here's one of my ways where I come back. So this video will be a response to something I said a long time ago. I tend to respond to the things that I say because I think I become more, hopefully more coherent over time, more precise, as my rambles do take 10 to 30 minutes. I'm hoping this one will only take several minutes. And it's this concept of, as a sensitive archetype, as someone who does struggle with carrying the projections and judgments of others and internalizing these projections, this is something for my community of sensitive people. So as I've been creating this channel for the past 8-10 years, I have done something terrible to myself and my channel where I internalize the projections of others, and specifically certain projections of like, I'm responsible for someone in someone else's life who decided to make a change, and the consequence of that change is they're gone, or they decided to do something that's more authentic to their value systems, things like that. Or I've been told that I've been creating this channel and posting social media things because I am vain and attention seeking, which is very difficult to absorb because it feels quote unquote shameful, it feels incongruent, it feels a lot of bad things. It makes me run away and hide from social media for years, months at a time, because I don't want to be perceived in that way. And so because of that, I have sabotaged my potential growth with this channel and my self-confidence dramatically. I did things that I'm hoping other sensitive people, when you face this path, you have a choice to make. I'm not saying it's easy. It's always going to be hard. But when people say these things or judge or assume or gossip and put these traits onto, when you know that's not part of you, or maybe it could be, but you don't want to admit it, please take pause to think about, what are my intentions for what I do? What is the reason for me taking up space and sharing my truth, my definitions of things, and questioning, what is your definition of a good person? Because if you're easily swayed by the emotional dumpings and regurgitating crap that people have onto you, because we sensitive people, we're easy targets, right? We know this. We're easily picked at, we're easily poked, we're easily bullied into submission to, I will not be a bright star. I will not be outwardly sensitive. I'm going to introject all these things and become sulky. I will become dark. I will allow my depression to consume more so than it already does, because when you have a lot of insight, a lot of us do become or are living as depressed people because of it. And so there is again that choice. And I'm saying I have not always made the best choice when it comes to my channel and its growth. There's always these rules of in order to grow social media presence, consistency is key. Staying relevant is key. And at the same time, I keep disappearing because my woundings are too strong. I let them win and consume and take over me, and I over-identify with the pain. And as I've come out of a very, very long depression, as I ask these questions too, I do the work. I think that's something that's very important too. I can't just say these things without doing my best to introspect and believe these as well. So when I put myself out there, I remember I used to tell people, this was a long time ago in my 20s. So 20 years ago, the thing about fame and money, right? I wanted to be famous because it gives you a reach. It gives you the ability to help more people, and people would want to donate to you because they know about you, your cause, maybe you're likable in some way, and they believe in the mission too. And I don't want to be wealthy. I just want to be well known so that people can help me help people. At the same time, what comes with that? What comes with fame? What comes with notoriety? It comes with a lot of projections. It comes with so much judgment. And my self-esteem and my backbone were not weak enough to take it. And so there's this crossroads and decision you have to come to where, am I strong enough to do this? I'm not saying that you're like completely a weak person. I'm talking about my personal experiences where I felt weak. I felt downtrodden. I felt completely like I was in defensive mode where when will I be able to fully explain my intentions for things? And like I feel completely misunderstood, like that one book, right? Please understand me. So it's that cycle of that, low self-worth, of not knowing exactly who you are, or not knowing yourself enough, but seeking validation from other people. And so like it's completely messy. It's hard work. And the constant life cycles of change involve coming more into your power. So every time I do this, I become more affirmed in who I am. Every time I come back, I feel more confident in my identity, my intentions for what I do, and I can brush off the judgments and projections and the belittling and the harassment, all the gossip, all the things that people do when they're not brave enough to step into their power. So like judgments come from different places. When you are authentic, people will judge you for being too sensitive. When you express or communicate yourself in a certain way, people who don't communicate that way are going to judge you because their perceptions of the world are just different. When all you want to do is like live and let live kind of philosophy, right? And so it's this stepping back, looking at the bigger picture of like, why would someone judge you? Why would someone say these things to try and keep you away from stepping into your power? Because when we take up space, other people think that, well, they're taking space away from my ability to take up space, which is not true. The universe is ever expanding, and so there's constantly more space for us to take up. I think symbolically. I'm saying symbolically. So like, this is me just rambling on how whatever it is that's your thing, like for me, it's social media and speaking and making videos. Whatever it is that's a struggle, but it's your thing, but you tend to keep on facing the journey and the trial again and again. Do the work by honoring your intentions. Really, most of the people that follow me have a very strong moral compass and what they perceive as a big picture goal, a want for bettering humanity in some way, whatever field, discipline your passions lie. It is something about you speaking authentically and representing something that a lot of people don't understand. And what usually happens when they don't understand, a lot of people try to blow out the light. They try to dim it. They try to redirect someone's strengths and passions when they feel like it's either a lost cause, it's too hard, so why try? Or you're too smart. Here's for my gifted people. You're too smart to waste your potential in this area of life. You should do something else more profitable or more quote unquote society-wise successful instead. That would make us all in association with you successful too. So I know you're juggling a lot of things. I know you are. So this is just that reminder that it is a constant work. To travel this path, it is very difficult. It's one of the difficult paths of just to be authentic to who you are, despite the people gaslighting you, despite you having to sometimes ignore and not defend yourself. Because if you do, you get caught in that trap. All the energy that you use to defend yourself or explain the dream or the reasons why it's taking so long or the whole process of this journey could have gone into just pursuing the dream and being more successful on your path. So not just also questioning your intention for why you do what you do, being honest with yourself, but also where you're directing and channeling this energy, because we have a limited amount of energy every day. You're only a human being. And if you're busy trying to defend yourself or explain the dream to others, you're getting caught in that trap too. So all us dreamers and sensitives and creatives, authentic people just trying to do our thing, we're trying to explain to other people who see differently that this is it's also a correct path. We're not saying that this is the only path. We're saying this is also a valid way to live life. So it's like trying to convince oppressors I'm using this very general form, like that you have humanity as well, it doesn't work. You're detracting yourself from the goal, from the real prize. And your prize is independence, personal autonomy, freedom, like self-respect. All these things are being like limited because you're trying to prove that you are a human being worthy of respect too. So like, it again, super complicated. You have to know what your boundaries are of like, this is my limit, I'm not being mistreated. But also at the same time, if this person just doesn't get me, you're making a choice of like, how much of my energy and time and my voice am I going to waste trying to convince someone that they don't see the same way. So why are we doing it? And so instead of that, I recommend finding community and spaces and people who are already living the dream, who are already in a place where they don't feel like they have to defend themselves as much, or realistically too, they struggle with the imposter syndrome while doing the dream too. Because like, it is, again, all this stuff is congruent. All this stuff is like, not congruent. All this stuff is happening at the same time. We're juggling and weighing all these things and fighting our personal demons. We're trying to nurture our hearts. We're constantly doing shadow work. And all these things are exposures of who we think we are, who the voices and perceptions of other people have kind of clouded our judgments of who we are too. And again, it's this pause of, what's my intention for why I'm doing what I'm doing? Are other people kind of right? Like, am I doing it for the best reasons? Whatever reason you want to do something, cool. The thing is just own it. If you want to be famous because you want attention, own it. Like, no one can use it against you if you're honest and claim it yourself. And so, like, there's these things where if they're wrong, let them be wrong. You're wasting so much of this beautiful gift of life to trying to convince people that you're doing the right thing. Because, like, if you're floundering trying to, again, to define your humanity to other people and they don't see it, they're going to think you're weak. They're going to think you're just making excuses for not being where you said you wanted to be, all these things. And so again, it's like this, it's a weird game. It's a weird process with all these variables and consequences that happen. If you're not around the right people, that's probably what you have to go through. And so again, a huge recommendation to kind of like bypass all of this is to surround yourself with people who believe in the same thing, that not necessarily the values or the same mission, but people who give you enough space to just exist as you are. That's like the ultimate gift you can give yourself. And so if you are outside the internet being perceived a certain way, I think that's why we escape through video games, anime, movies, YouTube. All these things help us kind of counter the negativity and the misperceptions that we've gotten constantly. So do what you need to do to balance it, and then internalize what you need to move forward, because this is a reclamation of power. It's a rebuilding of your self-esteem. And if you, again, like I said in the beginning, if you're sabotaging yourself by believing what other people have told you, a big part of it is community. Reframing what you're doing as like, this is me rebuilding myself. I am seeking this community because outside I don't have it. Outside I don't have this belief in myself, so I'm going to rebuild it for myself, inward out. And then over time, one of the goals in life could be to redefine what a life with purpose looks like on your own terms without having to defend again. You don't have to defend or explain it to other people who don't get it, because that's where we get caught. The trap is that's what happens. Another thing is redefining what worth and a good person is, because that's what we get caught in too. Because we're so sensitive and we feel rejected and misunderstood, we keep on redefining, or not redefining, we keep on aligning with the incorrect definitions of a limited view of what a good person is. A good, worthy person in society does blah, blah, blah. But to us, we're doing things outside of that box. And so for us to feel more worthy and whole and just feeling like we have the right to exist like other people, redefine what that means. Redefine what worth means. You're a human being? Okay, you worthy. But to us, sometimes because we've been inundated with this negative message of like, oh, you're an artist, you're going to be poor forever, right? That That's a big lie. Like, you can live artistically, you can live creatively, whatever discipline you're in, whether you decide to pursue, formal art training or not. Like, there is, again, the lie of what a blanket statement can do to you sabotaging. Well, in order for me to live out this archetypal life, I need to check off these boxes. And if I do this area, I must struggle, I must suffer. No. Redefine your specific context of how you want to be living. Whether you're a sensitive person, whether you're a creative person, whether you live a lifestyle that aligns with your values where other people don't really understand, suffering can be part of it. Suffering can also be something where you're kind of doubling down because you think you have to hold on to it because it's been part of my life for so long, I'm going to continue suffering. Like, there are some things that we can do to make our quality of life easier. But again, because we've internalized that we're less than because of certain traits that we have or the way we're born or the way people have treated us, we may be sabotaging ourselves to live life worse than we have to. I'm not doing things like chronic illness, pain, like, struggling with disability. That's not it. I'm talking about like when we live differently or when we think differently, there are some things that people have projected onto us because of them not understanding us, right? And so, again, us internalizing the misunderstandings have continued to make us struggle because, well, if that category of people are doing well in life and not suffering, that means in our head, we've equated to, well, because we're living as an artist, we must suffer. No, that's not true. You can live as an artist and thrive. You can be XYZ and thrive. Again, this is where your perception changes. This is where the inner work changes. This is where all this stuff of like, have I sabotaged myself to stay in this box because I thought in order to stay in this box, I had to continue suffering. These are personal things that I have gone through and taken accountability for. So these are just some things I think some fellow sensitives may resonate with. You can, again, always disagree with me. I'm open to that. But if it does poke you, maybe part of this is true. Maybe a part of this rings true where you have to take a step back and just let yourself feel kind of crappy for a little bit and then slowly work on tearing down these former truths. Bit by bit, you can rebuild and redefine what truth is now. So in the past, my truth of my identity was this. In the past, it was affected by how people treated me and named me and bullied me and called me for this. And it makes sense. We do what we can to survive. We do what we can to belong to a collective. And some of us get stereotyped. Some of us get treated like a victim. Some of us get treated like we're garbage and we'll never do well in life unless we pursue this path, right? And so all these things we have to kind of like take it apart, deconstruct it. What's true now? What was true in the past? What do you want to take with you? What do you kind of want to tweak a little bit? And what part of this truth are you accountable for too? Because you played a role as well. It's not this whole like other people in society are responsible for everything and all my woes. It's part of it. Because you have understanding now, because you have more perception, more insight, you're growing now, your consciousness is expanding. You're delving into your unconscious. You're tapping into these things where you thought were true for you, the unknown parts of you, come back out into the light, kind of reintegrate it. So again, the practice happens over and over again. And so I did pretty good, not 30 minutes, I got 19 minutes. So that's my 19-minute rant on just some things for why I disappear, why I come back, and the new insights that I have every time I do this. And so for people who have a similar pattern in terms of conflict, identity, their sensitivity to the perceptions of others, I have compassion for you because our process is up and down, back and forth. Like we just withdraw so much because it's like a visceral experience of understanding yourself internally to make sure it's congruent externally. So take your time with this, but also know that I did some things where I disappeared for too long. So give yourself credit and give yourself more, believe in yourself a little bit more to come out just a little bit earlier. Like, I hibernate because it's important, but sometimes I hibernate because I believed all the projections that people told me. And I don't want you to do that to yourself. But at the same time, you have your own journey. So if you do that, again, I understand. Again, if you decide to take a step out into the sunlight a little bit earlier than you used to, give it a shot. I have faith in you too. So thanks for watching, everyone. I would love the comments and conversations to hear what your thoughts were. And I'm actually trying to listen to more audiobooks. And if you have any recommendations for things related to this kind of area that I'm talking about, please comment and I'll give it a look, or I'll give it a listen. So thanks for watching, everyone. Take care.